Okay, guys, we are live. So for those listening at home, welcome to the Dungeon Musings YouTube channel. My name is Kevin Madison, and I will be your friendly dungeon muser today. Today, we are actually going to be kicking off something a little new here. So at the time of recording, we are just fresh back, or I'm just fresh back from my vacation. I am refreshed and rested, and we're ready to try out some different things. And tonight, what we're going to be playing is the first installment of a series of adventures, or a series of sessions playing an adventure called The Dead Roads. Now, with me tonight is the star of The Dead Roads. That is, of course, a regular fixture on the channel, Arlen Walker.
Hi, guys. I'm playing Sagramore Le Desirous. He is desirous for battle. He's a paladin, and he is heaven blessed. I don't remember the term specifically. He is
heaven blessed, I believe.
He has the blood of celestial beings in him, and he is a peasant hero. So between that and his high charisma, he gets a pretty insane bonus for loyalty and reaction rolls when he's dealing with people.
Nice. Cool. So for those listening at home, we are the rules we're playing tonight are Jeff Talanian's very, very awesome Astonishing Swordsmen and Sorcerers of Hyperborea. But I've also added some extra rules. I am doing. Okay, let me make sure I'm mute myself. Swordsmen and Sorcerers of Hyperborea. That's my damn voice. Jeez. How narcissistic are you that you got to have yourself playing in the background? My goodness. So what we've done is I've added some test rolls, some homebrew stuff to add in. I'm calling them ancestries, but it's what races are in previous editions of D&D. And what you would recognize as kits from AD&D Second Edition, or archetypes from from previous versions. So what I'm hoping is that with some tweaks, what we're going to get is a little bit more of a traditional kind of fantasy experience. Now, one thing that I use in all of my Astonishing Swordsmen and Sorcerers of Hyperborea games, which Arlen is well familiar with, is the idea of astonishing fortune. And just like in our traditional, our other games, I've said in the human ancestry that they get 1 point, but I just think that mechanic, it smooths over a little bit of the unforgiving nature of old school play enough that I think everyone will have 1 at the start of a session, and humans would start with 2.
Yeah,
so they've got extra ones. So that's the way I'm going to play that. Let's see here. You don't have any cantrips because you're a paladin. What else did we get? So you also have the let's see here, the heaven blessed ancestry. What does that give you?
So I have dark vision up to 60 feet.
Mm-hmm.
I have divine resilience, which makes me impervious to normal cold, and saves versus acid, electricity, and magical cold are always successful. I have the legacy of heaven, which means that I am identified as good if somebody casts like a detect good spell or something like that.
Yeah.
And I have font of celestial light, which means I can cast light once per day per level.
One of the things too is that creatures that are of inimitable evil, I think would also smell that off of you.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's good that I'm a paladin, because I have a +1 AC bonus against evil things.
Nice.
So
one of the ways that, just for the viewers at home, one of the ways that Astonishing Swordsmen and Sorcerers of Hyperborea differs from other versions of D&D is that the evil, like detect evil spells, are a little more supernatural. So they're keyed towards specific evil intent, or towards creatures that are just supernaturally evil, like demons, things that are, cannot possibly be anything other than what they are. That differs from just, casting and detecting a specific alignment. Good is in a similar way too. Let's see here. Although, I guess that means you could have an evil act with a good intent, which would show up as good, not evil. So,
well, I'm wondering if my character probably considers anybody who attacks him as at least sort of doing evil. So
your guy's
probably
incredibly
get that AC bonus on everything.
Yeah, fortunately, it is a objective, not a subjective assessment of whether it's evil or not.
Well, it says a
okay,
lot about the type of universe we're in.
it does. It definitely does. Okay, so yeah, so those are the abilities you get from being a heaven blessed, or from the heaven blessed ancestry. Your archetype is what was it? It was peasant hero, right?
Peasant hero. So I have hero of the people, and I have +2 to reactions from all common folk. I have +2 to loyalty or morale rolls for being helpful, and then I can request shelter for myself and 2 people per level. But then I have to keep helping people in need when they ask for help, keep helping the peasants and all of that. Otherwise, those bonuses will turn into penalties at -1 per failed upholding of righteousness.
Mm-hmm. And then you also, what is it? What did you take as your secondary skills?
I took Scholar because I thought it would be interesting to have a character who was part of the idea. So part of the idea specifically is that because Sagramore is this character from Arthurian literature, that I was thinking, well, it would be interesting to tie in the sort of literary element in a way like I like to do with my characters. And then I also thought it would be funny to have a scholar with 8 intelligence. Who,
I haven't checked your stats. What have you...
I dumped intelligence.
Yeah.
But I have 18 strength, 12 dexterity, 14 constitution, 8 intelligence, 12 wisdom, and 16 charisma.
Okay, let's see here.
Which I think is right.
I think so. Yeah, I don't remember.
One of those 12 should be a 13, but that's not a big problem.
No, that's not a big deal. Okay, great. And you got your max hit points. Right, because you're a paladin, you get +2 to all saving throws. That's pretty badass.
Yeah.
Your alignment is, of course, lawful badass.
Exactly.
Excellent. Yeah. So
I'm a serious knight in the Mallory mold, which means that there's not a lot of rescuing damsels. There's a whole lot of that knight height Sagramore.
So here's some things we're going to take out. So the religion, you can zilch that out right away because we're not using the Hyperborean settings. Your race is heaven blessed. Because ancestry is basically just what would be race in any other edition of the game.
Yep.
Let's see what else we got to change. Languages, you can change those. Do you have a bonus? Oh no, as an 8, you do not have a bonus language.
I do not have a bonuses to languages.
So you took Scholar, and what was the other one?
Do I get a second one?
For now, I'm going to say 2, and then if it feels like it's just too much, I'll change the rules in the next iteration. But I like in Ash rules as written, you only get 1. But what I thought was that it would be because some of the archetypes you're restricted, like you get a specific 1, and I kind of like the idea that you'd roll 1 random 1, and then you would have 1 that you would get from your archetype.
All right. Well, let me roll a random one.
Okay, cool. I had that open a moment ago. Let me
2 and 1. Wow, I got Animal Trainer. That's
cool. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So, hey, Matt from Jowzam's Den is in. Hey, Matt.
Nice.
So Jowzam's Den is in chat as well too. If you enjoy your live stream games as well, you should definitely check out Jowzam's Den, where he learns a bunch of games that to be honest, much better looking than what my games are. So,
well, and also I ought to give a shout out to Matt because my most recent episode of the podcast was about the Tiny Supers game by Gallant Knight Games. And I did not have the courage, but Matt did, to send it to Gallant Knight Games Twitter account and got me some extra listens on the podcast. So thanks for that.
Matt is awesome for signal boosting too.
Yes.
So very generous with his platform.
Yes.
Okay, so let's see here. So the what is it here? The paladin, we've got your abilities, we've got your backstory. I dig that the idea that you're a animal handler too. Now, do you think knowing that it's night? I mean, that could be like a groom, but it could also be a falconer. Could be a houndsman. What are you thinking that? that secondary skill relates to?
Well, I think so. So, like you said, I think the obvious one is to start with some proficiency with horses because
Yeah.
that's just sort of necessary to be a knight.
Yeah, I think we
But
can
I
assume that
really,
you've got that. Like there is an
yeah,
actual background called groom, and that's the care and feeding, like all the things that go into really like cleaning
yeah,
the hooves and shit
yeah.
like that.
Well, and he's presumably he was a squire for a while, but upgraded to knight, and so
Yeah.
he doesn't have to deal with that quite so much anymore. But I really like that's a great idea to be like a falconer.
Okay.
Um,
Cool. Yeah, that's great.
Very cool.
Okay. So then, what you can put down for your your language is I think just common for now, and then
Yeah.
we'll try and give it an actual thematic name in time. I think that's all I need to start with. So let's take a look at
Is
the.
there because so it doesn't have to matter that much. Is there a lawful good deity in this setting that I
There
should be?
is. So just
Okay.
like you, your character will be starting in a bit of well, not a bit of with effectively a substantial amount of amnesia. You'll be
Oh, so
starting in mystery.
I wonder what god's symbol I have because I start with a symbol of my god, a wooden
Yeah.
holy symbol.
So
I wonder
what
what god's symbol I have.
the symbol will look like? Give me a sec here. I think it is a blazing sun, actually.
I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah. So one. Let's start with as is always the case, because I have no no other tricks. We're going to start with a cutscene. So what I want you to picture, Arlen, is you lying down. That moment when you lay down to rest after the third or fifth day of extremely heavy rest, or heavy work. Just how exhausted and how good it feels to finally get a chance to hit the sack, to know that you can steal a couple of hours of well-deserved rest. It may be a bed that you've lived in your entire life. It may be a bed that is just a roadside inn that you've stayed at. We'll figure out what is the case as we go through the adventure. But you've laid down, and rest has sleep, merciful sleep has washed over you, and you're at that moment where you're sort of you were so tired and so tired and so tired, and then you lay down, and now you can feel your mind kind of reeling, even though your body is so unbelievably exhausted and just in need of sleep, that you're in that twilight zone that's kind of between restfulness and wake. And that's when you hear this rumbling. And suddenly, we have silence. And the comfort of that bed has been replaced with hard, cold stone and the heavy smell of fresh earth. And your eyes snap open, and because of your heaven-touched eyes, you can see. It's dark. You always know when it's dark in here. And I'm going to rule the it's not going to be like dark vision where where it's basically like a fucking night optics scope. It's going to be infravision, like traditional AD&D stuff.
Yeah.
So it's the heat of your body that you can see is being given off, and you are in a rectangular some kind of chamber. You're lying flat on your back. You are surrounded by fresh earth. From your, I'm assuming you went with the starting pack, right? For paladins, yeah. Whatever is in there that would fit inside a small, box or chamber, I guess, that is about an inch of give on either side of your body. That will be in there. If you have a weapon with you, what weapon do you have?
I have a long sword, and I'm guessing it's probably clasped over my chest.
Yeah. Like it's full on, like, ancient warrior laid to rest kind of positioning. You don't feel any pain. You don't feel any discomfort, but you definitely, you have no idea where you are. You can hear the scratch, I guess, of your armor as you look around. Do you have a shield as well?
I do have a shield. I have a large shield.
Okay, so the shield is laid across your, like as if it was, not in state is not the word I'm looking for, but you know what I mean. Like if you were being set out in what do you call it? Like in a sarcophagus of some kind with
Boromir in the boat with the shield and the sword.
Totally. Yeah, exactly. So it's not like ready to be used or whatnot, but that's what laid on you. And God dang, like there's a seam that runs along the side of the top of this thing. And you can kind of like look down, you move your head up, and that seam runs all the way along the inside of this tight little chamber. But other than that, that's the only sign of any kind of imperfection in otherwise the perfect rectangle that now encloses you. And the other thing that's odd, you don't really remember anything apart from your name. You don't know how you got here. You don't know who you were with. You don't know what you were doing. It's only the immediacy of where you are. That's the extent of your awareness. And of course, all of your abilities, your martial capability, your skills and your knowledge, like your things you know to be true or false, those are still with you. But you couldn't say what you had for breakfast. You couldn't describe the face of your mother. You could not remember the name of your favorite hawk. So what do you do?
Well, I think first I'm going to do my best to kind of feel around this chamber that I'm in and probably push on the top thing to see if it's like a lid that I can just shove off.
Sure. Why don't you give me an extraordinary feat of strength?
All right.
Now remember that you get okay, I guess it's 40 as a fighter.
It's normally it's 32 plus 8% for being a fighter subclass to 40.
Okay, so
yeah.
Using raw brute strength does not seem to be working here. It doesn't give whatsoever. And part of it is also because of the weird angle that you're at, right? Like you're trying to use most of your, I guess your back muscles and then the weakest bits of your triceps.
Can I feel like what material it's made out of? Like
it's a hard, smooth, cold stone.
Well, I don't really want to use my sword to try to lever it because that seems like a good way to get my sword broken. But I might be able to make some noise. That seems like a thing to do. Probably do my best to shout as much as I can and sort of roll around and So
you raise kind of a hellish cacophony in your tiny prison. But apart from the loud, but weirdly stifled, I'm picturing echoes as well too. Like it would echo around and sound loud in this little place, but it wouldn't sound like, it wouldn't sound like something like someone shouting in a big open room with an arched ceiling. It would feel claustrophobic as well too. And you feel that in the same way that you're progressively feeling confined and smothered, that your sounds may likewise be restrained. Because after giving this a good 5, maybe 10 minutes, it's tough. Like time is so difficult to judge in a situation like that, that no one, at the very least, that no one has responded to this.
Okay. I think what I'm going to try to do, I'm going to go for the lid again to try to get it off. But this time, instead of just shoving it up like a push-up or something, what I'm going to do is basically try to raise it in one corner as much as I can to see if I can get it to slide at all.
Okay. Yeah. Let's do a boy, because I'm just trying to picture you're down there like that to do that. I'm kind of like move your arms up and then try and. Let's do another feat of strength. Let's see how that goes. It's tough. It's very tough. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm trying to think. It seems like the only thing I could use really to lever this would be the sword, and I guess we got to try it.
Okay.
So since I couldn't get it there, I'm going to do my best to jam the sword into one of the cracks and use it as a lever.
So I'm picturing it like you're going to have to sort of, move the sword over and then, get it around the top of the shield and then move your arms so that you've got the shield near your feet and you put the sword up and then kind of try and wedge it in there. I think what I'll let you do with this is a test of strength instead.
Oh, that's much better.
Okay. So you wedge it in there and then and what you manage to do is you hear the scraping of stone. This is an incredibly heavy slab of solid stone that sits atop your whatever is confining you. And you hear it kind of move to the side just a touch. And you feel that if you continue on like that, you'll be able to do that. So you do so, ever, being mindful of the risk of shattering your blade. I'm sure there's a story behind the forging of that blade, but unfortunately it escapes you, what that story might have been, how you came by it. But after about 10 minutes of work, muscles aching, your body drenched in sweat, you manage to clear enough of it out of the way, or move the sarcophagus enough to get up, get a better purchase on the lid, and push it a bit down. Now, did you want to push the whole thing off, or just push it enough back so that you can get yourself extricate yourself from this thing?
I want to try to push it basically enough so that I can sit up and look around first. I don't necessarily want to just send it falling off and make a lot of noise.
Yeah. Would you give me a D6 roll, please?
Yeah, I can do that. A 1.
Ooh, okay. So you push this back, and then what you do is you slide yourself back, your armor scraping against the metal the stone surface of this what you're sitting in. You push this fresh earth back as well too, and you sit up and look around. And now, for those that listening at home as well, unfortunately, my hard drive on my laptop crashed last night, so I did not get. What I was going to do is set up a map for this, but we're going to do tonight at Theater of the Mind instead. So what happens is you pull back and you sit up, and there's a couple things about this room that stand out because you are heaven blessed. You can again, your divinely touched eyes can drink in the surroundings, and above you is this kind of arched ceiling. It gives it almost like a some kind of place of prayer or place of reverence, where there's this fine stonework that runs up to kind of a peak right in the middle, where there's sort of almost as if it's like stoneworked ribs going up. It's not like, necrotic or designed in that way. It just has that sort of, gothic feature to it. What you see to your left are 5 more standing sarcophagi, I guess. Each of them seems to be about the same size as yours. Each of them has a heavy stone lid, just like the one that you apparently are in. But each of them has a you're not sure if it's unfinished or it's just, it is the victim of centuries of wearing and erosion. But there's rough humanoid figures that are on the lids, as if they were, eternal depictions of those laying within. But each of those is indistinct. You can't make out any distinctive features. You can't make out either on the face or the clothing or the weaponry or whatever. What isn't indistinct like that is the lid on your sarcophagus. And though you cannot remember, much beyond your name, you definitely remember what your face looks like. and there is a stone carved, duplicate of you that is carved into the lid of this, complete with your shield, your sword, your armor, and your face. Though in place of the normal eyes that you have, there are the stone, lifeless eyes that stare up eternally at that arched ceiling. Behind you, there appears to be little alcoves as well. There are 6 of them as well, marked behind each of the sarcophagi. What do we see? Like, what's this thing look like? What does Sagramore's face look like?
Well, I had while we were originally, because I had originally been picturing him as a Celt from Hyperborea, so I think I'm going to stay with that sort of
Sure.
image, even if he's not. But I'm imagining kind of reddish, sort of shoulder length hair, and then a big, thick red beard, and he's got a little bit of kind of maybe a scar or two running through the beard also, because you can tell that he's lived an exciting life up until this point. And he's big, and he has a sort of there's a real charisma to his face. You can tell that not only is this a man who is tough, but he turns heads when he walks by women and things like that too.
So there will be some feature, because you are heaven blessed as well. There's going to be some feature about you that clearly bespeaks your your divine ancestry. What is that? Could be a shimmering aura, could be eyes that have no pupils or irises.
I think his eyes, he has what looks like normal blue irises, but then right at the edge of the pupil, he has a ring of gold around them. So the blue flows into this gold color. So if you look at his eyes, you can tell there's something really off about that.
Okay, love it. Yeah, that's great. Okay, so so Sagramore finds himself staring down at his bearded, face, though again the eyes are lifeless. In this room as well, too, they're at the far left corner. This room is about from the alcoves behind you to the area in front of you is only about maybe 11 feet. So 10 feet from the edge of the crypt all the way to the wall that you are now facing. From end to end, it runs about 60 feet. So it's a long, narrow chamber. And then at right near where you are, directly ahead of you, and then on your right, there is a smaller hallway that seems to lead out of here, or alcove. You can't really see beyond to see how far it stretches. The room itself, in terms of sound, is astoundingly quiet. Whoops, let me make one quick roll here for a listen. Okay. And you can hear somewhere off the distance down that behind the corner that you were facing there, the one right ahead of you that turns to the right. I think you can hear the sound of something clattering against stone very, very quietly. What are you going to do?
So I'm going to gather up my stuff, put my sword in its sheath, put on the shield, stand up out of this sarcophagus, and then I'm going to see if I can't push the lid back into position.
Okay. So as you stand, one other thing you notice is that on the opposite, where that hallway turns down to your right, at the far end of the chamber, far to your left, there's a small box that has a cloth, like a drop cloth, cast over it, and the amount of not stone, but the amount of dust and whatnot that seems caked on top of it suggests that it may have sat there for quite some time, perhaps even centuries. Oh, you know what? Steve just got home too. Let's shoot a Steve an invite, because I think I got a funny idea of how to introduce that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I will. So I can push the lid back into position, right, so that it looks normal.
Yes.
Yes. And then I guess I'm going to take a look at the box.
Okay. Give me one sec here. You may hear sound from another crypt as well. Let's see what Steve has to see here. Let's see. I'll shoot him an invite. Sorry, I was trying to monitor chat and not chat, but text messages at the same time. Steve has a handy dandy copy of the Player's is it called Player's Manual? Yeah, Player's Manual now too.
Yeah,
from the Gaming Marathon.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw Jeff Talanian shared your picture of everybody holding up their copies.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it was the game went over really, really well. That was a pleasant. I mean, it's a fucking terrific game, so it kind of does all the heavy lifting for you. But boy, was it! I'm glad to hear that everyone did enjoy it as much as I enjoyed the game. So, while we're waiting for Steve to log on, you're going to grind that back, and you make your way over to this box or to the crate. And as you make your way over towards it, what you see is there's that drop cloth cast over it, and the drop cloth has it's basically over a crate that's about maybe a foot and a half by a foot and a half square, and you pull back the drop cloth, or do you move it with your sword, or how do you want to do that?
I think I've got my sword sheathed using my gauntleted fist.
Okay, so you cast it aside. What you see is that this looks like it's something that may be supplies left over from construction, because there are, let's see here, dried out and useless paints. There's a crowbar. There is flint and steel. There are 3 lamps. There are 2 hammers. There's 1 hooded lantern. And there are 8 pints of oil and a dented pewter mug. The pewter mug does not seem to be of any special, design or significance. It seems like
I can't take it. I'm honorable.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then I think the next thing to do is, as a good honorable knight ought to do, or a good honorable paladin ought to do, I'm going to say a prayer over the other sarcophagi that are in here.
Yeah.
Beseeching the nameless, but I know to be truest God of law and order and light, to watch over the poor souls who have been laid to rest here.
Mm-hmm. So you can see the what is the what do you have a tabard on, or do you have I can't remember what kind of armor that a paladin starts with.
I have scale mail.
Scale mail. Okay, so it's probably a tabard if you've got any kind of symbol. You mentioned you got a symbol. Is it hanging around your neck, do you think?
Yeah, I've got a wooden symbol, probably. I think I'm imagining it being very small, like hold it inside a closed fist, essentially. Like,
sure.
A little bitty wooden cross.
So what it is it is a symbol of a down-facing sword where there is a stylized sun that encapsulates the handle and the hilt, centered on the hilt. And while you don't know the name of your god, you definitely know the the intent behind it.
Yeah. Do I have some sense that, because I am divinely blooded, do I have some sense that this god hears me when I beseech him or her? Or it?
I don't know. You have a link to, as a heaven blooded, you do have a link to the kind of the overworld or whatever the heavens may be. But I don't think you're not like half blooded. You're not like so close to that you are a part of that world. So I'm not sure that
like a full on demigod.
Exactly. Yeah. Like
a little bit.
Yeah. And we got, let's see here. Where's our man? Where's our man? Oh, you know, I may have to link the chat in here. One sec here. Whoop, I'm going off camera. This will be another interesting experiment. So we're going to see if what's up with my email. Oh, I thought he's just asking in general. What's up with my email? I don't know. Okay. We actually had, there was a problem with YouTube yesterday where streaming wasn't working for hours. It's incredibly infuriating. Okay, so Steve is joining in here, and we're going to we'll create his character as we go here. And the timing is perfect because you are, of course, in the what do you call it? In that room. So I think you're going to hear something, you know, kind of move this muffled cries, similar to what you know, you think maybe if someone was standing around you, what they would have heard.
Well, I guess I'm going to go see if I can discern the source of the muffled cries.
Okay. So let's see here. Do we have? Oh, I believe we've got someone. Steve. Oh, what's shaking?
You.
Okay, so Steve, let's cut to you for a second. So Steve, what we're going to do, we're playing Astonishing Swordsmen and Sorcerers of Hyperborea tonight.
Sweet.
But we are doing something a little different. We're taking, you may note that I sent you an email, I think on Monday.
Okay.
The email is called This Week's Gaming Sessions, aka I'm Back, Baby.
Right.
Let me know if you're able to find that.
I got it.
Okay. So in that email, Steve, there is a PDF called Astonishing Arcana. You see that?
Okay. Yep.
Pop that sucker open and have your, what do you call it? Your player's manual for Astonishing Swordsmen and Sorcerers of Hyperborea at hand. Because what we're going to discover, Steve, is who your character is right now. But let's talk about what's happened. So the last thing you remember, Steve, I think, is I think the last thing you remember is also lying down for sleep. Okay. So you remember lying down for sleep, and the next thing you remember is you have just woken up, and you are finding yourself in. First off, well, I guess you may be in darkness. You may be able to see where you are. So, Steve, three things you're going to be deciding. One is going to be from the player manual, which is what class you want to play. One is going to come from the ancestry in that PDF I sent. And your ancestry, it's what would be called race in other games. Okay. You're going to pick a race out of there: human, dwarf. I'm trying to remember what all of them are. Human, dwarf. What are they?
Human, dwarf, halfling, heaven-blessed, Dampier, and orc-blooded.
How about I be a Dampier? No?
Interesting. Yeah, that works for me. Okay. So you will be, what do you call it? Vampire-blooded. You are the descendant of a vampire. Let me give you the character here there, Steve-O. Where are you? Ba-ba-dee-ba-doo. Bum. Where are you? There we go. Your name is Gregor. Okay. And Gregor, where are you? Boom. Okay. Steve, do you see a character that showed up in the character tabs as Steve character?
Why is my thing being all weird? And it's on the character tab under, let's see here, tool? No.
Under the journal. At the very top, there should be something called Steve character.
Reload this. Steve character. Yes, that thing.
Perfect. Okay, so that's gonna be your character. So, as a Dampier have dark vision, I believe. So you. Yes. Okay. So what you can see, Steve, is that you are in a small rectangular chamber. There is the smell of heavy and fresh earth, or the heavy smell of fresh earth that just fills this area. And you are in here. This chamber seems like you're lying flat on your back on cold stone, and about an inch above your face is another surface of cold stone. You don't know you don't know how you got here. You don't know, where you're come from. You don't know who your friends are. You do, however, remember your name and your skills. So what you're also going to decide first off is your class. What class is this character, Steve? Any of the classes from Astonishing Swordsmen and Sorcerers of Hyperborea are eligible or available.
Let us be a one of them there.
So Arlen is playing a paladin, a heaven-blooded paladin named Sagramore.
All right. Well, what do you want to compliment your paladin there, Arlen?
Oh, I'm happy with whatever.
Okay. Let's go with sorcerer.
Oh, well, sorcerer isn't an actual, unless you're taking a magician.
Yeah.
Okay, so a magician is effectively like a magic user. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So we know you are a magic user, and then also you're going to look at, or magician, in Astonishing Swordsmen and Sorcerers of Hyperborea. So there's something else you need to decide, which is your archetype. So then, Steve, look on page. What page is this? This is page, I don't know, 4 maybe. It's a page that has magician archetypes on it. There's 4 of them listed there: academician, militant wizard, peasant wizard, and savage wizard. You go ahead to take a look at those and decide. What's going to happen is you're going to start making noise and screaming in a moment. And while you're making your decision, we'll let Sagramore react to that. So Sagramore, you're going to hear the sound from one of those sarcophagi. Steve, would you give me a D6 roll, please?
D6.
Nice, 4. So the 4th, going from the left, or from where you were, 3 sarcophagi to the right. You hear this, and as you look over at it too, you begin to see that indistinct lid begins to have features, or it now has features on it. Okay, and I'm assuming this character is robed, right, Steve?
Yes.
Okay. And what does his face look like? Now, as a Dhampir, I think you can look mostly human, but there's probably going to be some kind of characteristic that everyone would know would mark you as the descendant of the hungry dead. So that could be like chalk white skin, it could be pointed ears, it could be red eyes, it could be all of those things, whatever, just something that marks you as distinctly inhuman.
Ears, the ears.
Interesting. So there's pointed ears. Steve, what otherwise? Is it a man or a woman?
It's a dude.
Okay. What does he look like?
He's got somewhat stylish looking, sort of tight, or like not tight fitting, but like well tailored and sort of close fitting, kind of like leather and cloth, sort of dark brown and purples kind of outfit that's also good for like being in the elements.
Interesting. Okay. And is he clean shaven? Is he bearded?
Yeah, he's kind of baby faced.
Nice. Okay, so that's what you see, Sagramore, and the face seems unfamiliar to you. It doesn't ring a bell any more than the other aspects of your life that you have forgotten. So, Steve, if you are have you picked a archetype?
Magician archetype here. I'm not seeing these magicians. What about this wizard here? There's a savage wizard, peasant wizard,
militant wizard, academician. Those are the magician archetypes.
Let's go with the militant wizard.
Interesting. Okay.
Sorry. Savage wizard.
Savage wizard. Oh, that's cool. Okay, so then you're going to roll randomly one of your secondary skills, Steve, but you will also get to pick one of fishing, forester, groom, hunter, or trapper, furrier.
Hunter.
Anything. Hunter. Okay, cool. The benefit you get as a savage wizard, and we can just record this as we go. We'll just remember this. Savage wizards are experts at warding themselves from unnatural entities. Once per day per level, a savage wizard may cast protection from evil, as described at page 199 of the Ash book.
Nice.
Though you may cast the spell on any target, not just yourself. The downside is your wild nature imposes a -2 penalty to all reactions with civilized characters, and -2 penalty on all loyalty or morale rolls for such henchmen or hirelings. So knowing that you are a savage wizard, I'm guessing your outfit looks a little different than what you first described, right?
Well, he's also got a cape.
Well, I mean, a savage wizard is someone who is like raised by you know, in a primitive or like barbarian style kind of culture.
But his cape is kind of like this ragged cloth. It's more like a cloak. With
Okay. Well, the thing is, like, Steve, because you've chosen savage wizard, like that penalty you get to the penalties to the reactions is because everyone else sees you, or civilized people see you as a barbarian, as a savage.
All right.
You know, you do have all the capabilities of a magician, you know, but you appear to be a complete, you know, primitive to civilized eyes, at least.
So his outfit is kind of made of patchwork.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. Okay, cool. Then, Steve, what you can do then is take a look at where is it here? That email will tell you the stats you need to assign. So the same as at the gaming marathon: 18, 16, 14, 13, 12, and 8. Max hit points, and you get to pick your spells as well too. You will not be starting with a familiar though.
Yeah.
No, but that you will have an opportunity to bring that in, but unfortunately, you do not start with that familiar. So go ahead and assign your stats, but let's do that as we role play this out. So you started sort of like panicking in there. I think you tried at some point, Steve, to push that lid back. All the rules for the magician, incidentally, are on page 15 of the player's manual. And Sagamore, so what were you going to do? You've heard this noise coming from this fourth sarcophagus. And you've seen this primitive, you know, but oddly refined faced creature that has appeared in there. What are you doing?
I think I'm going to try to shove the lid of this sarcophagus off of the...
Okay. From this angle, it's just a test of strength.
Just a test of strength. All right. I can probably do that. I cannot do that.
So what is it that do you think is holding you back here?
Probably that I have my sword in hand because I'm worried about what might be inside here. So instead of putting both hands against it and shoving correctly, I've got sword in one hand, shield in the other, and I'm sort of leaning my shoulder against it, but can't quite get the right angle to
so
shove it off.
Knowing that, you stop for a second, you look at the sword in hand, you look at the task before you, you can hear the muffled sounds of someone trapped within, and you remember the feeling that you had yourself of being in that circumstance. So what do you want to do?
I'm going to put the sword away and drop the shield and use both hands to try to...
I'm just going to let you do it with that. If you're putting all that at risk. So Gregor, or hold on, what's your character's name, Steve? This is not like Hyperborea where you're restricted by like cultural names. You can call your character whatever the heck you want. Not Zap Starfuck though.
Zap. So to speak. Nargul. There you go.
Nargul. Okay. So go ahead and change your display name to Nargul then, and we see Nargul. You can see that this thing is pushed back, and Arlen, why don't you give a quick description of what he sees looking down at him?
Oh, Sagamore. So Sagamore he's a big dude. He's got he's got scale armor on. You can see he's got, I think as soon as he sees a figure in there, he kind of reaches down and grabs Nargul by the collar and kind of hoists him up out of the sarcophagus. And you can see Sagamore, and he's got He's got, shoulder length, brownish reddish hair and a great big red beard, and he's got some scars all over him because he's been in battle, and he's handsome. He's a good looking dude for a big burly warrior.
Okay. So Nargol, this is what you see, and then as well, what you find yourself in is that you are actually trapped in a sarcophagus. Like as if someone put you in the grave. And though you remember your ancestry, there's no way that you feel like you should have been in there. Like this is not, you don't sleep in coffins or things like that. Let's quickly just take a look at the ancestry again too, just to refresh our memory of what the Dampier actually has as abilities. So the Dampier, Steve, is, you have an ability, let's see here, Creature of the Night. You suffer -2 penalty to all attacks when in bright sunlight or the artificial equivalent thereof. You have Dark Vision to 60 feet. You have something called Grave Resilience, which gives you +2 bonus to all saving throws versus disease or mind control effects. You are resistant to energy drain. So instead of each level of energy drain, instead of losing a level, you take 1d6 hit point damage. You have uncanny charm. You give +1 to all reaction rolls and loyalty rolls with hirelings and henchmen. You have, let's see here, unliving senses. You may cast Detect Undead as a spell once per day per level. And that's it.
Funky.
So you pull yourself out of the sarcophagus, or you're pulled, I should say, out of the sarcophagus. What does Sagramore see as you kind of like? How do you react to being pulled out of this thing? Steve-O?
Sagramore? You mean Nargol?
No. Sagramore has pulled you out. Nargol, how do you? Let me describe the rest of the room for you first here. So what you're in, Steve, is you are in the 4th of 6 sarcophagi that are set up in a room, and they take up about half the length of this room. The sarcophagus themselves are about 7 feet or 8 feet long, and then from the foot of these things to the wall, there's about another 5 feet. Above you is a tall kind of arch ceiling. It only goes up maybe about another 3 feet. So the ceiling itself is probably around 7 feet, and then it arches up to 10 feet at the apex. But it appears as if there's some very, very careful and beautiful stonework to make the illusion of kind of like ribs or like stone rafters that go up into this peak. You look back and you can see on the lid of that sarcophagus that you were in, there is a stone carving that is a near identical replica of you, though of course it has lifeless stone eyes. The sarcophagus at the far left is also, it has a fine carving on it that seems identical to this burly man that just pulled you out of the sarcophagus. But the others don't have any distinctive features on them. They seem, you can tell that they're humanoid, but it's almost as if they were not quite carved yet. At the, from where you are sitting, like if you sit up in your sarcophagus to the left, there's a small crate at one end of the room that seems to have some stuff in it. There's some tools, there's maybe some other stuff, but you can't quite see unless you get over to it. And then to your right, at the far end of the hall, there's a hallway that's about 5 feet long that leads to, from where you can see, there is a door. And on that door, there is a fine carving of, it's a profile kind of relief of a man with long hair and a big, thick, bushy mustache. Sagramore, you can see that Nargol is looking at something, or this man is looking at something. You quickly look over, and you see that now too. There's a big a big stone door at the far end of the room, at the end of that 5 foot long little alcove or hallway, and you know that face. That face is ancient, but you know it. And you can't get the name to come to you.
Where am I say?
Know this. I am called Sagarmore, and though I do not know where we are or how we have come to be in this place, I will figure out how to get us out of it.
Okay. So this guy has, he's not carrying with him, but you can see that there is a small symbol. Looks like a symbol of some kind, maybe a heraldry mark or maybe a mark of some kind of god. That is a downturned sword with a stylized sunburst behind it that seems centered on the hilt. And then it goes up to the length of where the whatever is the cross guard. And then it goes up to the end of the handle and then extends an equal distance down. You see this Sagarmore, the big guy, grab a shield, which has the same symbol on it, and his sword. Now, is there any kind of stylizing on the sword, do you think, Sagarmore, or is this more of a functional thing?
I think I have... It's very functional, except for there's a word or two written right at the base of the blade where it connects to the hilt. And I'm not sure what that is, but I'm going to think up something poetic to write there.
Nice. Okay. So you see this guy seems to be pretty equipped. Nargul, what I'm assuming you've got you're going to start with all of the equipment that you get in the Magician's starting pack from the rulebook. Do you know what spells you've got prepared?
I think I've got. Sorry, what level am I again?
You're level 1.
Level 1. Yeah, Burning Hands, and then of course I got Protection from Evil.
Okay, nice. Now remember, you also what did you select as your intelligence? Did you put 18 into that?
Oh, you got it.
Yeah, nice. So you're going to have 1 extra spell per day then.
Oh, hey. Yep. In that case, I'll take Magic Missile.
Nice. Okay. So Magic Missile and that. We'll figure out what's in your spell book because your spell book is with you as well. Did you select your cantrips as well? Because you are a pure caster, which means I think you get 4. I don't know the. It's on that same in the same PDF. If you go right to the back, that's where the astonishing cantrips are. Mm. Or actually, you know what? Shit. So you got that handout from the gaming marathon.
Oh yes, right. Right here.
Pure caster is at casting ability 1, 3 cantrips.
3 cantrips. Okay, so you got 3 cantrips.
Thank you very much. All right, Magician cantrips. Nice. Let's go with. I like True Strike. It's one of my faves.
Okay.
+2 bonus attack on all attack rolls. Okay, concentration. Cool. Then Prestidigitation, useful.
Love it. Okay.
And yeah. How about the Blade Ward?
And Blade Ward. Okay, cool. So you again, like you don't know, you know your name. You know your abilities and whatnot, but for the life of you, you can't remember almost anything else. Sagarmore, do you mention to him that his, like, you are certain that his, features weren't on that sarcophagus a moment ago? Although maybe they were, then you missed it. You're kind of calling your memory into question here. You really, you genuinely cannot remember one way or the other, whether that was there and you just didn't look, or whether it was there, it wasn't there before, and now it suddenly is there.
My friend, I fear there's some strange sorcery at work here.
Yes. I feel certain that you're right.
The sarcophagus that you were in, I can't say for certain, but I think it was blank just moments ago.
Blank.
Indistinct. Whose visage do I look upon? What is your name?
My name is Nargul.
And can I see Nargul's ears from
this
perspective?
Yeah. Nargul,
You are know that I am aware of your condition.
Yeah, and I think so. You guys would both recognize each other for what you are. You would know that Nargol is a descendant of the Hunters of the Night, though that doesn't necessarily bother you. That doesn't necessarily, at least it doesn't. It doesn't like give that instinctive recoil that you would get from from vile things. Although, I mean, you do have the ability to detect evil as well, too. So I suppose.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if I detect evil on him, does he show up as evil because of?
Do you want to do that?
Yes, I want to detect evil on him.
Okay, cool. So I just like in spells in Astonishing Swordsmen and Sorcerers of Hyperborea, I'm seeing this being a fairly like there's something that sort of manifests the access to the divine. What does that look like in Sagramore's case?
Oh, I think full-on halos, one around his head and one around each hand.
Whoa. Okay, so there's this flash of divine power. Steve, is Nargul? I mean, his ancestry doesn't make him evil, but is he an evil character? Or let me phrase that: he's not a supernatural evil. So does he have any evil intent at present?
Is drinking blood evil?
he does not. Your ancestors did, but you do not.
Well, in that case, no.
Like you may drink.
I'm in harmony with nature.
Let me rephrase that. So, like, you could drink blood. It's just it's not a necessity the way it is with a vampire.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, well, I maybe occasionally have a little bit of blood from a deer or something like that.
The beer. Give me a Bloody Mary. I said a Bloody Mary. Okay, so so that this flares in here, and this is the first light that's in here. You guys both have that infravision, dark vision kind of thing. So that's what you've been seeing, is these cool colors and hot colors. But this is the full first source of light. Sagramore, he does not read as evil.
My friend, I have used my own magics to attempt to detect if you have a foulness hiding in your heart, and it seems that you do not. Best we keep it that way, lest my blade become acquainted with you in some other way.
Duly noted.
So Nargul, what does your spellbook look like then? Knowing you're a savage wizard.
They are written on pieces of leather that I keep in a bundle under my belt.
Nice. Oh, I love that. Okay, cool. So you got this like collection of leather. You step out and you got your tattered cloak on. So what are you doing? There's the things that sort of catch your attention here are obviously there's that crate, the small crate about 1.5 feet by 1.5 feet in the corner, and then at the opposite end there is that 5-foot corridor that leads up to that door that has that relief image of that profile of the mustachioed man. And second, where you can see that there's a collar around this man's, like where the neck goes down, because it's in profile again. And at the collar, there is a smoothly kind of curving line that you think it's probably armor. And that's probably why this face looks familiar to you. But for the life of you, it just doesn't come to you as to what it is. So, what are you guys doing?
I think I'm going to sort of step back and hold out a hand for Nargul to help him up out of the sarcophagus.
Okay. So you're out of the sarcophagus, Nargul, if you take his hand?
Yes. Thank you, sir. I say it. Let him help me out.
Okay. So he is out.
Then I think I'm going to go inspect the doorway mustachioed man statue.
Okay.
Yes. I'm going to inspect myself, my own statue. The statue of me you said that's there?
Yeah, and it's uncanny. It's a picture like, a classic, carved statue. you know, in that classical style or neoclassical style. It's a beautiful, flawless representation of what you know your face to look like, but your eyes are completely lifeless. It's as if this was intended to be your final resting place.
How am I dressed?
How you are dressed currently.
Interesting. I sit there stumped, trying to remember what's going on.
Okay. So it just cannot come to you. Like, no matter how much it's like that moment where you are trying to think of a word and it's just on the edge of your, it's in the edge of your mind and you're trying to chase it around to pin it down. That's everything about your past right now. You know your name, you know your capabilities. The way I described it to Arlen is like you could not describe your mom's face. You could not describe your favorite meal. You could not make a description of, I don't know, your favorite pet or your childhood friend. But you remember your name and you remember your abilities. And you know there is something missing too. That is, of course, I mean, you, Steve, know that it's your familiar. And that'll be interesting. If you're a Dhampir Savage Wizard, I wonder what you've got as a familiar. It's any kind of small animal.
I think it's a snake.
Oh, that's cool. What does a snake look like? Is he like albino or?
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. I was thinking sort of a purpley kind of snake, like black with purple spots.
Done. Love it. Yeah. Okay. So you hear a kind of like the sound of your familiar. And I think in the earth that was in your sarcophagus, you can see it suddenly seems to be there. We'll give him max hit points. So your snake, and you can give a name to him or her as well, it has 4 hit points, which means it boosts your hit points by 4 as well.
Cool.
Though if it dies, you lose those hit points, obviously. Sagramore, you make your way over to the door, and it seems that this face, it seems remarkably familiar, and there are words carved underneath the I think above, actually, because I see there's that carving on the bottom. There's a carving on the top that seems partially unfinished, which shows or depicts some kind of like a band of warriors of some kind. And you recognize one of them at the front. That's because it's you. And behind that is Nargol, the new Dhampir that you met moments ago. There are other indistinct figures that are in there, and beneath so that's on the sort of the top, sort of square, section of the what do you call it, of the door, and then on the bottom, the second panels where that big profiled head is of that person you don't recognize, but in the middle of it, carved in words you recognize, are the words Red Shrikes, noble companions in the war against evil. Rest well, my friends. And you stare down at that profiled, mustachioed head, and it is maddening that this name cannot come to you. And there's a bit of a mixed emotion that it engenders in you as well. You feel both pride and unease, almost at the same time. The kind of complex emotions you can get, that come with, say, family, or long-term friends, where there's the weight of history leads to sort of a muddled or mixed kind of emotional reaction. Narco, what are you doing now that you've got your snake back?
I pet my snake and I stare into its eyes, trying to see what it has seen.
So you're staring into this thing's eyes, and its tongue's going out, tasting the air, And do you talk to it, or do you just mentally communicate with it?
I mutter to it
Nice.
in some tongue of the wild.
What do you say?
I say to it, "Hello, old friend. Where have you been? Show me."
So it has no further recollection than you. It found itself suddenly in the, buried in that earth, and then it suddenly saw you kind of standing over it in the sarcophagus. It has no recollection. It knows you. It knows your name. It knows its name, but it does not know anything else.
Something is amiss here. I say to
Nargle's kind of muttering at the back of the room. So you're as you're sort of contemplating those words, Sagramore, you can hear Nargle. And if you spare a look back, he's talking to the snake that he's now kind of got wound around his arm and his hand.
Well, I think I'm gonna put a hand against the door and see if I can't push it open.
It kind of grinds against the floor and makes a fairly horrible noise, but it definitely moves. Like much, I think you were maybe expecting there to be a lot more resistance to this, given the two sarcophagus lids that you pushed off. So this sort of slides fairly easily open. And what you see beyond there, the door, while it looks big and heavy and whatnot, it's really not all that thick. The door is, in fact, I think only about a foot. Is that right? Even less thick. Yeah, it's only about like yay, thick. So you push this thing open, it moves along on these ancient heavy iron hinges. And what you see beyond is actually another rectangular kind of room. And this one, however, it extends out about 15 feet from the door. And then to your right, another 5 feet. And to your left, another 10 feet. And then at the end of that room, there's sort of a corridor that leads angling to your left off out of here. This room contains several low shelves that are covered with rags and loose bones. This is a mausoleum of some kind. A hallway extends to your left, and you can see that, let's see here. Let's see. Give me a D6 roll, will you?
Six.
Okay. So unfortunately, I think the drinking in all those surroundings has left you and your party surprised. So let me turn to get some stats here, because something is a-coming. Something is a-coming. Okay, so what is going to happen is something will come shambling towards you. Remember that sound I said you heard before? That sound of something hitting against stone? You hear it again. What is your armor class?
My armor class is 5 for melee, 4 for missile, and 1 better if it's something evil that is attacking me.
Okay. Okay, so 1 better if something evil is attacking you. So that means what's your melee again?
Melee is 5 normal, 4 with the bonus.
Okay. All right. So you hear something suddenly moving much faster than realize. And at the very last sort of second, out of the corner of your eye, you see something moving in from the darkness. And what this is a shambling skeleton. A human skeleton that's covered in tattered rags. And it slashes out at you with its kind of jagged, bony hand. but you get your shield up in time, and bam, it hits up against it. And that is all of the actions, I'll say, for the first round, or for the surprise round. So now, guys, Arlen, you are... well, actually, Steve, we'll put you in charge of rolling initiative because Arlen was rolling surprise. So let's declare actions, guys. And I think... So, Steve, you're going to have to sort of pretend that you don't, you don't know what you're... what do you call it? What you're doing. Or that you don't know about this attack. No, it's not true. You probably heard Sagramore kind of, and you hear the batter, clatter or something attacking him.
Yeah, I heard that.
Okay.
So, I run up and get ready to cast a spell.
Okay. So then remember what we're doing is declaring your actions. So just like Arlen did, you're declaring for your first phase and for your second phase.
Or wait, does the surprise count as the first round? And so this is an even round, or is...
No. No. No, that's not true. No, you're absolutely right. Yep, this will be second round, so you're entitled to make your better attack rate.
There we go.
Same team, Kev. Same team. Come on. Okay, so then, so Steve, if you're going to be casting magic, just remember you cannot move after you cast magic, but you can move before you cast magic.
I will move before I cast magic to go out and see what's going on. Yeah.
So then take a look in the chat of Roll20. The way that Arlen has done it, that's the way we do it. So you declare move / magic. So you're going to move in the first phase and then cast magic in the second.
Right.
Okay, if that's what you intend. And then you are going to roll a d6 for me, Steve, and you need to beat my... Oh, gosh. I can see... I've given a place of pride to the gaming of the giant D6s from the gaming marathon.
Boom.
Well, so you need to beat my 2. Oh, you rolled a 2. Interesting. Okay. So then what, let's see.
I have 12 dexterity.
12 dexterity. Steve, what is your dexterity?
My dexterity is it 16? Hold on here. I think it is.
You assigned a 16 today. Oh, awesome. So that means you guys, because you tied, you guys will go first. So melee, first is going to be Sagramore. What are you going to do?
Well, I'm going to hit this thing with my sword.
Okay.
So, one strike, that's not so good.
Oh, so you swing at this, and I think it's such an... You were so surprised that you swung wide. And the second one?
That one's better.
Ooh. So that is... Hold on, let me see here. This is an edged damage.
Yes.
So this would be a lethal strike on any man. This is no man. You clatter through this thing. Parts of its ribs get shattered away. Maybe in part, like one of its part of its arm, its radius bone gets splintered and falls to the ground. But it's too fine of a cut. It doesn't do enough to do just raw, blunt damage to this thing.
Should have bashed it with my shield.
Should have bashed it with your shield. Yeah. Okay. So then that flurry of blows has landed some damage on this. It is unfortunately still a melee. So then this thing gets to try and return the favor. Oh, and it does hit. So it's even though you hit, I think you expected that to be a lethal blow. So it takes advantage and suddenly grabs your arm and kind of runs its jagged claws down. Fortunately, your armor mostly protects you. You only take 1 point of damage unless you got a DR.
I have a DR.
Nice. So
no damage.
You are grateful for the scale armor as this skeletal talon runs down your arm, and you shake it loose and stand back. So that was melee for the first phase. There's no missile. Steve, you want to move?
Moving up to the hallway there. See what's going on.
Okay, so you go racing forward, and now you can see this furious melee that's going on. So we'll go in the top of second phase then. So Sagramore, you're holding. This thing is holding as well. So the only thing that's interesting happening on the second phase is your magic Nargol. What were you planning on casting?
Boom, magic missile.
Okay, so what does it look like as you cast magic missile?
Or this green light sort of wells up within my sort of gut, and then kind of spreads out through my arms and blasts, and then there's sort of like this
nice
green energy.
Awesome. Okay, so the magic missile in this does what? Let's see. Our magic missile is
4 plus 1.
1d4 plus 1. Yeah, so go ahead and roll 1d4 plus 1, please. Let's see how much damage this thing takes.
All right.
I'll see if this is sufficient. Oh!
That's 2d4.
Oh, that was 2d4. You know what? We'll take the first 4. That's good enough. So you unleash these green missiles, and we hear this almost like a screeching of a hawk as it goes out. And Sagramore, this thing is blown to flinders in front of you. So this thing collapses to the ground, and it lays still. What are you going to do?
I am going to. I'm going to cast light because I can do that on the wall, essentially at the other end of the room. So basically, try to illuminate as much of the room as I can.
Sure. So the ceiling in this place seems similar as well too. You think maybe at the the keystone, at the top. If you cast that, so you do, and this light kind of flashes and illuminates this place. You're not going to suffer penalties, Nargul. But I picture that you're kind of, there's a bit of light sensitivity that you have from when this flashes to, to suddenly bright as day.
Right, shoot my eyes, yeah.
Okay, you hear that hiss from Nargol behind you, and maybe because you're a savage wizard, that's a lot of time in the wilderness or whatnot. Do you think you maybe have like a hood you pull over to protect your eyes and stuff?
Well, exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So he pulls himself over, and you can see his face becomes shrouded in shadow. All right. So now that this thing is illuminated, you can see that there are those. So there's something else that happens too. Would each of you give me a D6 roll, please?
5.
Okay. So you do not see anything, guys. But you hear as that skeleton clatters to the ground, you hear the sound of something skittering across the floor. And unfortunately, it moves. You don't know what the heck it was that was moving or whatever. It definitely, but what you can tell is the source of that sound or the origin of it was the fallen skeleton. So, what? Let's see here. What's in here? Those shelves. And now that you moved in here, Nargol, there's basically 4 sets of shelves that are sort of affixed into the wall. And in those things, there's the detritus of bone and rags. It appears that this place has someone has given this place what the kids call the once over. What do you guys want to do?
I would like to. So first, I'm going to say my deepest apologies for this, my fellow, and then I'm going to take my shield and smash it against the remains of the skeleton to see if I can just sort of pulverize everything. And I have an attack set up for shield bash.
Nice.
Oh, wasted that roll.
Yes. So you annihilate this thing. It is completely destroyed. Nargul, what are you doing?
I'll sort of look around the room and sort of sort through the detritus and see what's if anything, any clues.
Sure. So what you find is that these appear to be crypts, or like alcoves that would contain bodies. But these are very, very disturbed. And in the midst of this sort of like the remnants of the detritus and the fragments of bone and scraps of rags that remain, you find 3 pearls, 3 lovely and valuable pearls, and you move it along, and there is cobwebs that are on this thing, but you sort of dust it off for a moment, and there is a very heavy looking mace. And this thing has, now I don't think you don't have any, I don't think you're proficient, or it's not a favored weapon for you as a magician to use the mace, is it?
No.
No, okay. So you wouldn't know one way or the other. Yeah. What did you roll for your secondary skills?
It did not.
So
That was
one of them is random, Steven. You can choose the other one if you want.
okay. And what document?
No, you can't. Sorry, no, you got Hunter. Hunter is one of your secondary skills, and you're going to randomly roll the other one.
Okay. What do I roll?
You roll a D6, I think, and a D20.
D6. D20. 317. Let's see what page is that.
Okay, and then we look on page. Where are you here? Oh, I got it here. Page 111. How'd you do there, Steve-O? Oh, yeah, so right in front of me. Kev, look on the fucking screen. So roll 3 and then 17. Ooh, locksmith. That's interesting. So you've got, yeah, so locksmith and hunter are your backgrounds. That's an interesting combo. You have a backstory that we're going to have to learn more about. Okay. So, Sagamore, as you destroy this thing, you know, and the bones there, I'm not even like one good hit is what you needed for this thing to sort of fall apart. You are what's your strength? Is your strength your highest?
My strength is 18.
18. Okay, yeah. So like you certainly have enough. You put enough force behind this to annihilate the bones, and that roll is just And as you look back, you can see that Nurgle, sorry, has just pulled something out, and he's holding this pretty large looking mace. So this would be, I think, a footman's mace. Yeah.
I look at him and say, "Can you use this?"
We might as well. Well,
so you look at this
trying
thing.
to decide if it belongs to the dead or not, because
I think that I think that it's easy to try and fall in the trap of like overly interpreting the stuff to go against the paladin stuff to go against game mechanics. But I think there's a way of and this is the way that we typically run 5 rings, right? Is because of the Code of Bushido is can be a really restrictive thing. The way to work your way around that is to find logical ways to just find exceptions, because that's how people would live under those strictures as well. So one way you could think of it is, Sagramore, you are in a dangerous situation where you don't really know where you are. You don't know where you've come from. Is this thing better served honoring some, a tomb that has already been defiled or at least disturbed, or is it better used to try and better your situation and do the work of good?
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Okay.
I think I'll say to Nargle, allow me to put it on my belt at least.
So you take this thing in your hand, and this has got a really nice weight to it. Like, this is an incredibly, incredibly well-made weapon. So much so that if you use this, you will get +1 to hit. Not damage, but to hit. Whew. And because it's a footman's mace, if you use this one-handed, this thing would do 1d8 damage. But if you grasp it in 2, 1d10 damage.
Well, and that might be useful if we're going to be fighting skellies to have a blunt weapon. So I think I'm going to sheath my sword and hold on to this mace.
Okay. Okay. So, wow, what else are you guys going to do? You can see there is a corridor that leads down to your left as well. That seems to actually, I think it leads down about 15 feet. And then there on the left, it looks like there's a set of shelves about 10 feet down in that corridor that leads into an alcove of some kind, or maybe another passage. And then it continues out into what looks like a really big room. And the echoes of your footfalls on the stone floor in that other room suggest it's a pretty big room. Like when you're walking down a hallway into a larger kind of chamber, you can hear that sound. Yeah, so that's what you can tell. What do you think, Nargol?
What can I see? I got my dark vision, right?
You see exactly as I described.
Okay. Well, I will, quietly sort of move forward.
Okay. So Sagamore.
And I'll send my snake ahead of me.
Ah, interesting. Okay, so you put your hand down, and your snake kind of, goes down. So as your snake kind of slithers down the corridor, and it gets to to about 10 feet down, and there's that sort of shelf that I mentioned on the left. You can see that there's actually there is another alcove in there, which contains a couple stone shelves. It's about a 5 foot little kind of nook, and there's a bunch of things on there. There are a bunch of candles. There's a holy symbol of something you don't recognize, Nargol. There's a wand of some kind, and there are 5 vials of some kind of liquid on there. And there is some kind of little box.
Wow. Random liquid, you say?
Random liquids, yeah. And there are 5 of them.
Well, let us investigate. What can I do? I don't have any spells for that.
So you're going to bring your, what do you call it? Your snake back then? Or?
I'll have my snake wander around while I check this stuff out.
Okay. So your snake, okay. Your snake makes its way down to that big chamber, and we'll deal with that. So what does it look like as you're sharing the snake's sight, Steve? Like, do your eyes kind of roll in the back of your head, do you think? Or do they take on like a serpentine kind of look to them?
I can sort of fade in and fade out with concentration. So I get sort of like a mild subconscious sense of what it's looking at if I'm sort of busy doing other things. And I just sort of wait for it to sort of like, if it sees anything interesting, it kind of, it'll tell me or identify it,
Okay. So if you make your way forward, then Sagamore, Nargol will send his snake forward, and then he seems to be making his way forward.
I think I'm gonna, as quietly as I can, because I am in armor, and so I'm probably making a little bit of noise, move 2 or 3 paces behind him.
Okay. So you make your way up to the or Nargol, you're the one who reaches this alcove first, and what you see there is, like I described, there's a silver, what looks like an amulet of some kind, and as soon as you reach the alcove as well, Sagamore, you can see that it's there as well, and it's sort of set up on one of these things, the way that a religious home would set a cross up, on a mantle, and there's something about this you don't recognize the symbol that is depicted on here, but it is something. It is something holy. What you also see are those 5 vials that are about like this big. They're about that thick. I kind of think of like a stained kind of orange glass color, and they're all identical. And there are a dozen candles that lay kind of all stored together, not as if they're set up in some kind of veneration way. They're just set up for like storage. And there is a wand on there as well too, a sliver of wood. What are you guys going to do?
Yeah. I'm definitely interested in the stuff on the table. So I'm going to grab that stuff. Is there like what can I do? I can sort of wrap it up in my cape.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll look around for like a bag or a pouch or something.
I think, well, let's take a look at what's in your, I think you probably have a bag in your starting kit. What is it here? You've got, so I'm looking on page 129 there, Steve-O. 128. Magician's starting pack. Silver dagger, quarterstaff, sling, 10 or 20 bullets, backpack, bandages, blanket, chalk, ink and quill, incendiary oil, 2 parchment, soft leather pouch, silk rope, small sack, tinderbox, torches ×3, wine skin full, writing stick, standard rations, and a spellbook. So you have all that stuff. Your small pack, all the stuff would easily fit within a small pack.
All right. Well, yeah. So I'll just start greedily, like just like it's second nature, just start stuffing stuff into my bag. Like I'm used to sort of grabbing stuff, looking around and furtively.
Yeah, and just kind of and stuff in there. Okay, cool.
I think
So at that,
I'm gonna move past him into the kind of doorway into the larger chamber.
sure,
To take up a defensive position in case there's something coming.
absolutely. Okay, so this room is really big. This room is about 25 feet across from where you stand, and then in length, it's easily 100 feet long. So it's just long, and you're sort of at the.
Well, and that's probably because we only have dark vision 60 feet, right? So
oh yeah, so you can't even see that far. Yeah. Friday session, we'll definitely I'll have all this stuff set up so we can do the proper creepy, and natural lighting. The marble walls of this large hall are carved with several images of battle, each featuring a knight astride a lean horse. The knight wears no helmet and has long hair and a wide mustache. In each of the images, the knight is charging at undead horrors with a rapier in hand. Let's see here. I think let me see here. North. Okay, let's see here. You can see across the hall, like almost directly across from you, there is an arched exit, and trying to figure out which one this is here. Oh, okay. Hold on. I'm a dummy. So actually, you cannot. It looks like so. Right across from you, there is another corridor that leads away, but there are also, from where you're standing, you can see to the left and across the wall there are these massive, like 10-foot wide archways, and you cannot make out the one to your left along the wall to the left, but the one across that one says, let's see here. It says, "Loyal Abdel, support thy master always." And the name Abdel, it kind of gnaws at you too, Sagamore. That name. Why does that name? And then a name comes to you. Roslar. The name of the mustachioed man, his name is Roslar. And you can feel it in your stomach that there's something about him that is causing a mixture of emotions, pride, mixed with unease. And at that, guys, you hear something. You can hear something clattering back in the direction that you came. You think it comes from the sarcophagus room. And knowing where you found yourselves and the panicked feeling that you both felt, I imagine that at the very least, Sagamore, you spare no time grabbing Nargol and saying, "Come, there are more." And we will find out who those more are in 2 days' time. So, give me a second, guys. Let's get out of here, and then we'll make with the outro. Okay, let me stop sharing here. Stop sharing. Oh, I got to turn Roll20 off to get my camera to not do this thing. Boom. Get out of there. And get in there. Turn my camera off. Turn my camera on. Boom. Look at that. It works again. Okay. So for those, sorry, I got to fix the gain on this because it sounds like I'm really, really loud. Am I coming really loud to you guys too?
No.
No more so than usual?
No, it's fine.
Okay, so maybe I just need to turn my volume down then on my mic. So for those listening at home, thanks so much for joining us for episode 1 of The Dead Roads, of Astonishing Swordsmen and Sorcerers of Hyperborea, The Dead Roads. So we will be continuing this adventure on Friday, and we'll be streaming it live, as we always do on Fridays, because I'm a big loser, and I got nothing better to do. Yeah, as always, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns regarding the session or the game, please don't hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section below, and then I will endeavor to reply in a timely fashion. Alternatively, you can reach me on Twitter at Dungeon Musings, or you can reach me on by email. My email address is dungeonmusings@gmail.com. In addition, you may notice that there is a link in the description of this video. That is to something called Heroes Save Villages, which is the charity fundraising campaign that we run on the channel. We don't monetize the channel in any other way. We don't run a Patreon. We don't run ads. The only thing we do is ask that you consider clicking through to learn more about the charity fundraising campaign. And from now until July 1st, 2019, so time of recording till July 1st, 2019, about 3 weeks and change, we are running a charity raffle. And for every $25 that's donated to the Heroes Save Villages campaign, which benefits the SOS Children's Villages International Charity, you get one opportunity to be entered into the, get an opportunity. You are entered into the charity raffle. The grand prize of the raffle is the $500 platinum edition of the Waterdeep Dragon Heist box set. And in addition to that massive grand prize, we have a bunch of other amazing prizes, including core rulebooks for the Delta Green role-playing game, both of them, core rulebook for the Legend of the Five Rings role-playing game from Fantasy Flight, core rulebook for RuneQuest Glorantha, a core rulebook for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th Edition. And just yesterday, we received in the mail, this sucker right here, the Sinister Silver edition of the Ghosts of Saltmarsh. This is the newest product from Beetle and Grimm. It's a $200, well, $175, $200 with shipping, $175 really cool box set with a ton of great accessories and so forth in there. That copy there is mine, but there is one that we've got in the packaging still that we got from Beetle and Grimm. That is another one of the prizes that can be won with this raffle. There's also a bunch of other things that are available for the raffle too. So if you don't win one of those prizes, one of the main prizes, there's still tons of cool stuff. And all money that's donated to the campaign goes to benefit the children who benefit from SOS Children's Villages International's efforts. And those are orphaned and abandoned children from all over the world who are given an opportunity to have a stable and caring environment to enjoy a proper childhood. So really great charity that benefits and gives you a chance to win some pretty awesome gaming stuff. And last but not least, I want to thank my players. Guys, Arlen, who was stuck playing with me alone for a whole hour. Arlen, thanks so much for playing tonight. And Steve-O.
Barely stand it.
Steve-O, who jumped in the last minute and introduced us to a sorceress, savage, half vampire. Steve, thanks for playing tonight.
My pleasure. As always.
Okay, so then until next time then, folks, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you soon, and happy gaming.